Hi guys, it's me, Kathy, Mrs. Handy Are You? I'm back. I know I was away for a few days, and some of you missed me, which was really sweet. Thank you for asking about me. We're fine. So today, I'm decoding Penguin 6, who does Washington, D.C., man on the street kind of videos where he's walking around telling you everything that's going on. It's showing he acts like he's a normal, everyday person. But once I realized he was doing codes, it's kind of like double talking, like President Trump does, and there's gematria involved, which, if you're new to this, gematria is A equals 1 all the way through Z equals 26, and it's called Bible coding. I use the website gematrix.org, and then you enter in the word or phrase that you're interested in matching, and you get some matches, and then you listen to what God is telling you that matches. So you can make a little list, put it in your phone on lists, or you can do like me, the old way, on paper. It's really fun. So you can find out what President Trump is really saying, what Juan O'Savin is really saying. And you guys, in case you didn't know, I got to go on Tom Numbers asked me to go on a video with himself and Rachel, who's Right Side Blonde. That's with a W-R-I-T-E. So, yeah, I got to go on. I think it was last Thursday. And I have it on my community page. So if you go to my home page, just hit that, and you'll see a header, a bunch of headers, and one of the headers says community. And in case you don't know, I post different videos there, things that I think you'll like. And anyway, I got to do a video, a second one with Juan. So that was really, really exciting, you guys. I mean, I've wanted to do that forever. So I was so grateful and happy. I didn't get to talk much, but that's perfectly fine. And we got to talk after the video. So anyway, I'm rambling. So it was so much fun, you guys. So anyway, back to Penguin 6. And let's see. So Penguin 6 is not CIA. And I know some of you think he's like a bad guy. He's not. And he wouldn't be helping us with all this coding if he was CIA. Okay? And what he's telling us through these videos that I'm going to talk to you about is exactly what I've been getting. So, he's not telling like a whole different story about what's going on. He's telling what I'm already getting and what other people are already getting to a point. So, don't say bad stuff about poor Penguin 6. He's a nice guy. He's a nice penguin. So, let's see. So this was on the 20th. It was I think I already said this, 11 minutes, 4 seconds. I said that, sorry. So, so he goes, "Hi guys, we're live at the White House." Now, I know that doesn't sound weird to say you're live at the White House, but he said live right at 15. So to me, that's like, okay, something's going on. And then he said, "Marched over here." That sounds like the military or National Guard, right? Or same thing, kind of. And then at 35, "Still goes around the corner." And that's JFK. I've been doing all this decoding about John F. Kennedy. He didn't die. And in case you're new, he didn't die. He's here. Surprise! And, the limo went around the corner behind a big bulletin board, and that's when the switch out happened. And there was a fake JFK pulled out from under the raised seat in the back where he was sitting, and he took off in a disguise. And I'm sure there's video of that we'll end up seeing, of him leaving. The way I get it is he's an old man hunched over, probably with a hat and some gray hair, and I think he's holding a cane and all that. So okay, I gotta stop rambling, right? So, "Hey, how's it going?" He says it to someone, and that equals 184. Tick tock, tick tock. I thought That was an awesome one because that was at a 5. So I look at timestamps, and you know, 50 seconds is a big deal. So that's why I did that one. So at 53, and that's reverse 35 for JFK, POTUS 35. Hey, it's very cold. Well, I think he said cold. I think it might have been 11 times. I may have that wrong. But it was a lot. Every couple of lines almost, he said, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. So, let's see, I'll skip around a little bit. Oh, he said Joe Biden's schedule has been insane. He was having a hard time keeping, you know, up with it, supposedly. And then he said he has been staying in the White House. At the last minute, he decided he was going to Delaware. Okay. Then he said, update, he's not going. Then at 1:17, the president is in the Oval Office. Well, who's 17? Okay, he's not referring to Joe Biden, obviously. The president is in the Oval Office. That, to me, that's 35. It could be both of them because there's 2 presidents right now. There's, POTUS 45, President Trump, and then there's POTUS 46, who was assigned during the, can't think, you know, the act. Somebody write it in the comments, you know, happened on January 6th. Oh my gosh, sorry, I can't remember the name of it. Insurrection Act, I got it, sorry. And part of the Insurrection Act says that you have to assign another president who is will follow the Constitution. Well, that's JFK. So he's POTUS 46. And I think that's who he's referring to, who's in the White House. Although a lot of people probably could say, you know, oh, he's talking about President Trump. He could be saying that too. He could be saying both. Okay. And then he said at 1:22, and that 22 is always JFK because of the date 11/22/63 that he supposedly was gone. So at 1:22, he's actually working. And then he goes at 1:35, it's cold. You know, and it's cold. I hope I have it here somewhere. Yeah, cold 34 in gematria. And that equals D-Day, okay? Apache, like the helicopters. And then the 17th letter written twice. You know, that letter that I can't mention or I'll get booted. So D-Day, Apache, 17th letter twice. And yeah, and 34, 3 plus 4 equals 7. That's God's favorite number. So that's a big deal that he said cold that many times. So he was saying D-Day, Apache, over and over and over again. So, yeah, let's see. And then if you do it's cold, which he said a few times, it equals 82. One of the things that matches is Armageddon. So things are happening, you guys. It's like things are happening. And that's why the Ukraine thing started, you know, which is all white hat FFs. So if you haven't watched my videos, watch a couple back and you'll catch up. You'll see what I'm talking about. You know, those false flappy things. You know, they're on a flagpole and they're false. Then at 1:53, that's a reverse 35. 53 flipped is 35. Ukrainians and Russians. Yeah, he was watching a protest, so it was easy for him to bring that up. But that's what started, you know, that Russia invaded Ukraine, kind of. So at 2:20, that's a 22. Because it's cold. Oh, I said that. Yeah, then at 2:17 to 18, he says, it's cold. It's quite cold. See, you know, he's talking about, you know, D-Day, Armageddon, all that. And then he said they're protesting against Putin. And, you know, I mean, there's so many things you can decode. I could have done Putin. I could have done the whole phrase, protesting against Putin. But I can't do all of it because it would take way longer than I'm already going to do. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's cold again. And then he says, after he said it's cold umpteen times, he says, let me zip my coat up. Okay, so if it was that cold and he was really upset about it, why did it take him so long to zip his coat, you know? And let's see. He said, yeah, I filmed some of the trucks, truckers, I should say. So he filmed. So he didn't, he didn't say, oh, I made a video. No, he said he filmed because we're in a movie. And then at 3:05, I'll put that up on my video. It does say video there. And then he brings up hang. 3:17, hang on a second, guys. And let's see. That hang on a second, guys, is 192 in gematria. That equals test, test, test. Like maybe an emergency alert at some point. I don't know. And then he goes, too many cameras going. Okay. And then at 3:22, he's talking on his live chat. And he says, hey, Benton Harbor, Benton, Benton Harbor. And, he could have said something to anybody, right? But he picked Benton Harbor, likely because it's other white hats that chit-chat with him, on his live chat. And they put in, there are people there that will ask him certain questions that he can respond to. So that's 132. And that equals JFK Jr. is alive. So what are the chances that he'd pick, hey, Benton Harbor? Okay, so he's giving us comms, guys. So JFK Jr. is alive. I should say JFK Jr. is alive, is 132. No coincidences. And the Most High is 132. And at 3:55, he says blue and yellow flags. We showed blue and yellow flags a lot. I don't remember if I did blue and yellow. I should know that, but I can't think right now. At 4:06, that's a 46 for POTUS 46. He's in the White House, so that's JFK. At 4:08, and 8 is infinity and God, and he's in the Oval Office. And 4:15, he says, and that's another 5, fives can be comms, usually are. So 4:15, he said the Marine was out. So that equals, the phrase is 192, and that is still, again, test, test, test. So it's kind of repeating what he did before to get the point across. So he's saying test, test, test twice. Then at 4:17, again, our favorite, Anon's number. But now he's in is 150. And that equals the White Rabbit. And just by chance, follow the White Rabbit is 283. And that's John Fitzgerald Kennedy. So, 4:28, he goes on about cold again. Oh my gosh, it's very cold. It's cold. Let's see, can't read my scribbles. Oh, at 4:35, he said, I'll be away. So he's talking about JFK again, because he was POTUS 35. He's now 46, in case I'm getting you confused. So he said, I'll be away. And then he said, at 4:45, I'll be back by the 1st. Now, 45 is President Trump. So I'm not sure, is he talking, did I get it off by 1 second? I mean, it's easy to do that. Am I off by 1 second? And he's talking about President Trump being back by the 1st of a month, not necessarily the upcoming. So, I don't know. I'm just as in the dark as everybody else. I'm just going by what I'm reading here, or decoding, And another thing is, I'll be away is interesting because in our favorite Anon posts that we had for, what, 4 years or so. Remember, the president would be away on Air Force One. So, Penguin 6 saying, I'll be away, I'll be back, makes me wonder if that's kind of what's going on in the next couple of days, or maybe it already happened. Let's see. And then he said, at 5 minutes exactly, a Georgian flag. So, it wasn't just Ukrainian flags. He saw a Georgian flag in that little march. And Georgian is 76, and that equals the plan, best date, like it's happening to me, best date, I am ready. So that's pretty cool. 518, he said, announce meaningful sanctions. And that's like, okay, are we going to hear something, a bulletin, like, not an APB, but a EAS, Emergency Alert System. Back to it's cold again. And they said at 5:23. Now 23 is important. When you hear something starting at a 23 mark, because Juan has said many times 23 affects the world. He said that many times. And this was at 5:23, so it's even more important to me. So, 23 is also the letter W in Gematria. And for, I think it's over 16 years, Juan O'Savin called as W the undercover insider to several YouTube shows. And that's a long time, and it's hard to find them, but you can find them if you look at a few of them anyway. If you look for W, and maybe, I can't think of the channel right now. Was it Rogue Money? ROGUE? Rogue News? It's one or the other. They were one name and then they switched it. So it's one or the other. And he used to call them all the time. But for some reason, they don't have a playlist of W's phone calls. So that's kind of disappointing that, they don't have that kept together. And he called other people too. So, So when you see 23, think of Juan O'Savin, and he is going to affect the world. He already has affected the world, but he's going to in a big way. Back to it's cold. Okay. And then at 5:50, and you can look at that as a 55 for JFK Jr. It's also Melania. It's also heaven. You can also look at it as comms, obviously, because there's a 5:50. So he said fire trucks over there. And where did I do fire trucks? I don't even know where I did it. Well, I'll get to that. Fire trucks over there. I did. Sorry, I see it. It's 130, and it equals television, Son of Man, and be ready at 8. So I've gotten that so many times decoding, Juan and President Trump and George News, things like that, his posts, that, be ready at 8. That I'm pretty sure, we're going to see all of these people on like a special report or it'll be on at 8 o'clock. Because one time President Trump said, and it's 9 o'clock in some areas. And I went, oh my gosh, I had just gotten sometime right before it, be ready at 8. And he said, and at 9 o'clock in some areas. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what he's talking about. And another time I had, it was 10 o'clock. So, it sounds like it's going to be an hour long. It'll get over at, I don't know. It could get over at 9, it could get over at 10. But I think it'll start at 8 o'clock Eastern. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So, and at 6:08, he said no snow, but it's cold. And no snow. When people bring up snow, that makes me think of Greenland. You know, one of our locations in Greenland. And in '68 is when Bobby Kennedy, RFK, you know, Robert Francis Kennedy supposedly died. I don't think he died either. So at 6:17, they've been going since 2 o'clock. So he's talking about the people in the you know, the march, but he's also kind of double talking about the people that are in the White House. You know, he could be. And let's see. Sorry, having a hard time because it's like I wrote in it. I'm using the college ruled paper now, and I'm used to having more room in between stuff. It's kind of hard to keep track of what's going on. Let's see. Going for about 4 hours. That was at 6:22, and again, that's referring to JFK. Going for about 4 hours, and then a passerby just happens to say to him, "Oh, you really saw Biden yesterday at church?" It's a woman asking him a question. 6:23, he says, "What the heck?" You know, he says, and she continues at 6:30, she continues and says, "Really, his schedule was on 0. Okay, what does that sound like? I've talked about this before. 0 hour. So in the military, you know, the term 0 hours is go time. I mean, I've never been in the military, but that's what I've read, you know. And so they're talking about a schedule and 0, you know. So that's I mean, a lot of this you don't have to do gematria, you just listen. So, okay. So 6:35, Penguin answers, "Not church, not church." Now, I didn't decode that, so somebody else can do that and write it in the comments if you want, and then everybody will see what it is. Yes, because if somebody repeats stuff, that's a good one to do. And President Trump does that all the time. He repeats phrases or words, and you think he's just trying to make a point of whatever he's saying, but no, he's making a big point. He wants you to decode it. Let's see. Oh, and she continues and says the word schedule several times. It's kind of like a back and forth conversation with her saying schedule over and over. And schedule is 77, and that equals Christ. And it also equals Grammy. So, you know, we're in a movie. I mean, I know that's a word for singing, but whatever. It's not real. It's so awesome. I'm sorry, I'm having fun. And he says at 6:50, Penguin says, "I'm on the list." He's saying I'm on the mailing list, so, you know, email, to get the schedule, the official schedule. And that's how he's, you know, what he's telling this woman. But I'm on the list. It sounds like, okay, these people are not long for this world if you're on the list, you know, possibly. Or you know, maybe it's really all over and we're just hearing about it after the fact, whatever. Let's see. Oh, it's cold again. And D-Day, that means D-Day. Let's see. 7:22. He says, kind of where I'm headed. He says, Baltimore, thinking, you know, 7:22 again, where he's headed. He's probably on Air Force One, or, you know, he was going to go on Air Force One, whatever. Let's see. 8:02. I'm pretty frozen tomorrow. So I wonder if that means he would be going up to Greenland again. That could be. Let's see. And then at 8:15, 8 is infinity, which is like God. And, you know, the infinity symbol when you turn 8 sideways. So 8:15, so it's comms again. And he says, supposed to be the old veterans group. And the old veterans group is JFK and Junior. And I know you probably are going, oh, if you're new to this, oh no, Junior wasn't in the military. He was a lawyer and all that, and he flew a plane and whatever. But he was in the military because he was Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. So we'll have to watch some other videos to catch up with that. Let's see. So Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. died in World War II. Sorry about the noise. And yeah, on a plane. He died in a bombing run, of course, in a plane if he's on a bombing run. And that's why Junior faked his death with the plane crash, because he became Junior. He just became him. So, and then at 8:18, 18 for R, he said Veterans Association. Oh, and I thought that was funny. And because together they're planning, they're associating with each other, and they're planning, and they're executing their plans. Let's see, at 8:30, he says, no, it wasn't Nancy Drew. I don't know why I wrote that down. I didn't decode it. But it was funny that he brought up Nancy. So he's still having a conversation with the other lady. So, yeah. And at 8:44, he said, this was planned. So that was at 44, which is 22, times 2. So this was planned. So he's talking about the, the march with the people, the Ukrainian people and their supporters, marching to the White House. He's saying to the world, oh yeah, it was planned. And he says at 8:45, I heard about it on the radio, Okay, the radio. What are we waiting for? So at 9:15, he says, Secret Service are rushing off to something. And after he brings up the radio. And then he says, it's cold again. So he's saying it's D-Day. And then at 10:08, he says, there's security buffer. So he's talking about security. And let's see, 10:46 for JFK. He goes, okay, guys. I say that all the time. I say, okay, guys, this is exciting. This is this, and that's that. Okay, guys, is 98, and that equals trust and do not fear. So this plan and all these white hat FFs that are going to, happen are things that you should not be afraid of. So it's going to look like the world is coming to an end, like World War III, but it won't, right? And you guys know that if you've been following me. Let's see. So he said, okay, guys. And then he said at 10:50, video up tonight. And at 10:53, which is reverse 35, we'll have a video up tonight. So, he's talking about whenever we see the videos, I think. I might be wrong about that, but, the videos from the people that are locked up, likely. And then at 11 minutes, I'm going to go home and edit. Edit equals be safe. I did get the number, sorry. But edit means be safe. So that's one. So that was, there were 2 videos on the 20th. So this is another one, another video from Penguin 6, like I said. And how long? I don't know how long the video was. I might have not written it down. Let's see. So in the very beginning, we hear an automated voice on a loudspeaker, and it was loud, saying, scramble, scramble, scramble. And they're talking about, I'm pretty sure they're talking about, planes going up, jets going up to find out what's going on. So that was cool, right? Because he's been saying, cold, cold umpteen times, and it means D-Day. And then he plays this. So if you don't think he's given us coding and information, I think you're crazy. I really do. Crazy in a good way. I'm not saying anybody's bad. I'm just saying, I really think he's giving us comms, is what I'm saying. So, and at the same time that the scramble voice is going on, he shows a screen and where he had typed in, today was a bit odd. Okay, well, today was a bit odd is 163, and every time I see anything with 63, I think of JFK, but it equals 163 in gematria, and that equals President Trump's slogan, Make America Great Again, and it equals 23, written out. And remember, Juan O'Savin had said 23 affects the world, and 23, he said before, brings pain. So anyway, then W equals 23, like I said a few minutes ago. 163 equals no more waiting. Tyson Fury, like Mike Tyson the boxer. Tyson Fury, are you with me? Sherlock Holmes, and if you've been watching all along, I've been decoding Sherlock Holmes stories with mostly with Greg Wagland, who I think is, I've said before, I think it's JFK, but it could easily be Junior. It's, I don't know, because, they can make their voice sound like anybody, and this is like the perfect British accent, and I don't mean any disrespect to Tom Numbers saying it's a perfect British accent, but it sounds really good. Let's see. It equals 163 is also big, big, big happenings. Grand Master Plan. Manchester City. And I thought that was interesting because I'm decoding these things all along, and it just happens to be a big city in New Hampshire. There aren't that many cities in New Hampshire. And Battle of Armageddon is 163. So we've already had that kind of pop up. And let's see, nuclear winter. It's going to look like nuclear missile attacks and all over the place. And it won't be real. And it says October it begins. I don't know if it's going to be way off in October. Who knows? I mean, I just threw that in there because it had begins in there. Who knows? I really don't know. And I don't think anybody knows, right? So remember, cold is D-Day. He said, pretty blue sky. It was beautiful, clear. I always call them blue sky kind of days, and he says the same kind of thing eventually. So pretty blue sky is predict the future. The truth can be harsh. And asteroid collision. So we've got a theme going here with these videos. He's talking about stuff that's going to go on, stuff that could be going on with the military or National Guard, who knows, or if it's not happening at the moment, it's soon, I think. Then, let's see, he said, at 15 seconds, a lot going on in the city behind the scenes. And then 55, snowplows and garbage trucks were blocking the streets in the DC pre-trucker protest. So snowplows is 156 equals today is the day. And you can't get any more obvious than this. Brilliant minds. It's gonna be biblical, sorry. Robert Kennedy, he's probably there too. Fight to the death, all. Oh, I'm sorry, I added all, I shouldn't have. Fight to the death, and they all these equal 156. Let's see, 111, a lot of security. 118, whatever vehicles the architect of the Capitol could spare. I thought that was interesting. And architect is 120, and it equals Kim Jong-un. So he's been firing off rockets supposedly. He's all involved in all this too. He's part of the plan. Garbage trucks equals 133, and that's simulation, false reality. And let's see. more, 133. Rigged election. So when President Trump says, you know, the above, when he says rigged election, he's saying all these other things. He's saying, today's the day, it's going to be biblical, fight to the death, all that stuff. Let's see. And President Kennedy, because I've watched a lot of President Kennedy's speeches and some of his, well, as far as I know, I've seen all of his official interviews, you know, when he's done a sit-down interview. And he'd say government a lot. And government equals 133. And that, one of the things it matches is false reality. So, kind of what he was saying right along back then. Let's see. Okay, is this the same one? Gosh, I hope it is. Oh, the title. I have the title. Congress prepares for truckers, Ukrainians, and Ukrainians march on. Yeah. Congress prepares for truckers, comma, Ukrainians march on. That's the one that this is called. And at 150, he shows crowds listening to, this is so important. I mean, there's fives here, 150, right? So he shows crowds, and they're standing in front of the Lincoln Memorial, and they're listening to a very dramatic woman singing the Ukrainian national anthem. And of course, she's not singing in English. And she kind of reminds me of an opera singer, but, you know, only a little bit, but it's very dramatic. And you could hear a jet flying overhead exactly at that 150 mark. So you could hear the jet, you could hear this woman start the Ukrainian national anthem. She's on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. And the reason that's a big deal is because I've gotten before, and I'm going to have coming up, when the fat lady sings. What does that mean? Something happens when the fat lady sings, right? That's exactly what they're referring to. Something started when the fat lady sang. The jet flew over, and that was like the signal. Like we're off to the races, you know? And what was it, 3 years ago? I can't remember even now. But when President Trump had the Salute to America rally, I think it was called. It was just called Salute to America, and he had it in front of the Lincoln Memorial. I was supposed to be there. I ended up getting a sore back, and I couldn't stay. I was there. It was terrible. But I was supposed to be I was there with other people on the lawn, but I couldn't stay, so I had to listen to it from the Trump Hotel. It was really sad. You know, I heard the jets all flying over and everything. So anyway, so the whole family got up on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, right up and near the end of when the fireworks were beginning. And, you know, he gave a speech, and then he was standing up there right in front of the statue of President Lincoln. And to me, that was like a kickoff of something, you know, and right here is a kickoff of the next phase, you know. So Fat Lady sung, the jet flew over on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. So to me, that's a big marker. He mentioned keeps his rifle in the car, and that equals 220. And I don't know why I did that. I felt like I was supposed to, you know. And it equals, he has an apocalyptic plan. 220 is when the time is right, the coming catastrophe. And guess what else it equals? Guess what else it equals? I knew I was going to hit it in a minute. I didn't know it was going to be this quickly. When the fat lady sings. So there we go. That's what we're talking about here. So at 217, he said the White House called the lid. and I never decoded called the lid before, and that's 63, and that equals comms. So that was really cool. So when you hear called a lid, it's comms. That equals 63 and comms. And of course, the event that I don't want to mention happened in 1963. Let's see. And then he says at 2:22, monitor the aviation stuff. 5 p.m. tonight. So watch the aviation stuff. And flight restrictions for VIP movement. Like President Kennedy going off in Air Force One, or both of them, President Trump and President Kennedy. And then he says, 2:33, he goes, surprise. No, not really. And he said it just that way. Surprise. No, not really. 2:35, just got an update. The president's schedule. He's now flying off to Wilmington for the President's Day holiday. And that was Monday, 2/21/22 was the next day after this video. He's now flying off. Now, what do you think? Was it maybe right after the jet flew over, the Air Force One might have taken off to have the president or presidents out of the country, just like we had in one of our posts way back? And let's see, 2:35, wonderful what's going on in Ukraine. And let's see, they're riding around all over the place. And he was talking about police at that moment, but they're probably talking about Air Force One too, because it was a 302, and you reverse that, and it's a 23, which is W, which is 107, which is JFK Jr. Let's see. Carjacking. He said, they're riding around all over the place looking for a carjacking suspect. And carjacking, well, Jack is in there, and JFK's nickname was Jack. And carjacking equals 77, and that equals Christ, equals press, equals the big lie, wake up, wrong, and Grammy. Isn't that cool? Let's see. And then he went at 3:06. He went, and you can reverse that to 63, 1963. And now he says, so that's the Scottish Rite Temple. That's the Masons. Like, that's what a lot of this is about, the high up ones, like, in case somebody's a Mason watching that hasn't watched this before. I'm not talking about you guys. 3:15, they're headquarters for the U.S. So he's talking about their headquarters. It sounds like he's double talking about what they're doing. Maybe they're going to Cheyenne Mountain. Who knows? 3:18, he said University Club twice. So that was the definite thing to think about, at least, if not decode. I didn't do the decode, but Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. was in Harvard, and he was in the Hasty Pudding Club. So he's at a university. Well, Harvard. Yeah, Harvard's a university. What am I talking about? It's not a university. So he was at a university, and he was in a club, and let's see, the Hasty Pudding Club, they don't have women, and especially back then, and the men played the women's roles, like I've said 100 times before. So, there's pictures of Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. dressed as a woman. So if you think that, and he became 107, and I'm sorry, he became Junior, who is 107, but I know it's confusing, but whatever. So if you think that Junior wouldn't play Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, you're wrong. He would. He definitely would play Jen Psaki with like the Hollywood rubber mask. I mean, people can look like anything. And then other people say, oh, but his hands are, her hands are too small. Well, one puts this thing over his hands to cover up the scars, you know? So when you see his hands, they look kind of puffy and all that. Well, that's because he's got something over it, just like when he wears a mask. So, you know, anything's possible. Let's see. Let's get to some really good stuff. He said, at 3:46, everyone in Washington is saying something else is going on. Well, yeah, something else is going on. And he says, blue sky kind of day at 3:55. Blue sky is 95. Before I did, I can't remember what I did, but it wasn't exactly blue sky. Blue sky kind of Sunday. Blue sky is 95. It equals it's time. Castle clean, which was from one of our favorite Anon posts way back. And it equals emergency. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it also equals Ezra Cohen. And he was the acting Secretary of Defense. So most of us think he's, you know, well, I would think most everybody at this point thinks that Ezra Cohen Watnick is one of Junior's kids. Let's see. And yeah, then he goes, it's really, really cold. In other words, it's really, really D-Day. And Tuck says the word protesters over and over and over again. You know, partly because he's talking about what's going on in Washington, and it's obvious there's protesters. But protesters equals 155, and it also equals John Fitzgerald. And ventilators equals John Fitzgerald too. So when President Trump would say that over and over, he's also saying John Fitzgerald. Let's see. And let's see, was it, I think it was 4:55? No, 3:55, I can't remember now. It's hard to read my own writing. Activation key, I think. Oh no, protesters, I got it. It wasn't a timestamp. It was another addition to 155. And activation key is also 155. And likely it will look like an attack one day. So, you know, an activation key or a code for the nuclear weapons. Let's see. And he said at 4:05, which is 45, there's an unidentified aircraft in Washington, D.C., airspace. And that's funny, huh? And at 4:30, air defense battery is still operational. Was an air defense scramble. The Coast Guard went up to look for it. And he said Coast Guard several times. So Coast Guard is 109. And I mean, it means lots of things. This era, on and on. It equals Air Force One. That's a key match, don't you think? Air Force One, when we're all talking about the planes going over, the jet went over and all that, and we're kind of waiting for them to be, you know, out of the country or whatever. So Air Force One, 109. It's coming. Wind of change. Cyber attack. Lock her up. So when people start that chant, lock her up, it equals Air Force One, and it's coming. Storm Act. Bomb Cyclone, which is a big weather channel, and yeah, I think it was only the Weather Channel. They use that phrase, bomb cyclone, for, you know, big blizzards coming and all that kind of thing. It's kind of a made-up term that hasn't been around that long. Waterloo, locust, necessary. Like, this is necessary, all this, what's happening, all these things that will look awful. Launch America, Atlas Comet, hang in there and sleep well. She says happily. Yeah, 109 also equals Juan's phrase he says all the time, by the way. And yeah, so by the way equals all these other things. Waterloo. You know, it's going to look like, in my opinion, it's going to look like the United States loses in what most people would call World War III. Now, Juan says we fought World War III, you know, under President Reagan when we brought the Soviet Union down and spent it into oblivion. And so, you know, it's going to be kind of weird. Most people will look at it, whatever's happening next is World War III. But like Juan says, it's really World War IV, I think. So, but yeah, but I think it's going to look like we lose, and the Biden gives in. So it looks like we're taken over by whatever country's on top at that moment. Will it be Russia, China, Iran, North Korea? Who knows? Or they'll all take over together and they'll divvy the United States up, whatever, that could happen. Kind of sad to think about, but I think that's the plot. I think it's the plot of the movie. Let's see, at 4:40, and I did that because it's 22 times 2. Not sure if the fighters deployed from Andrews Air Force Base, but fighters deployed is the key part there. And then at 4:44, but it was a flock of birds. And then he shows a tweet and saying that there, in all these tweets, there's like way ahead things going on that, they're putting out tweets and things just like President Trump did. That was all comms, and so he shows a tweet saying that there were the flock of birds was between 1,700 and 2,000 feet. And a flock of birds, and then he says at the end, a flock of birds at 1,700 feet. 1,700, right? It's just a coincidence. That was at 4:45. The protesters are saying, and he let them, you could hear what they said really clearly. So, he stopped talking and you could hear them chanting over and over again. And they said, stop Russian aggression, stop Putin now. And to me, they're actors. I mean, some of them could be real, joining in on the protest, but I think that group in particular was started by actors. So stop Russian aggression is 278, and that equals the 17th letter alerts, time to take America back, which that sounds like what started that day, the start of the apocalypse, and what storm, Mr. President? Remember way back in October 2017? They asked him that. I don't know what date it was. Was that? I think it might have been October 10th, because I think that's sticking in my head. And 10/10 keeps coming up. Now that's my anniversary, wedding anniversary. But it's not just that. 10/10 wins. It comes up on American Prophet videos, which I can't remember if it's BitChute or Rumble, but they're around, and I didn't realize that once they left YouTube, that they were picked back up again after a while. You really ought to watch American Prophet if you haven't. That's a white hat channel. Okay. What storm, Mr. President, equals stop Russian aggression. It also equals eat, get rest, and stay strong. Stop Putin now. The other chant is 202, which is a 22. Never give them an inch, and all the world's a stage. Which also equals the laptop from hell, which President Trump has named it. That's 202. So when he says the laptop from hell, he's also saying all the world's a stage. So let's see. And he said, a helicopter comes into view, and it was at 6:30, which is, you can look at this, it is 63. And likely because it was landing at the Naval Observatory, is that what it's called, where the Vice President lives? And let's see. Yeah, so likely John John Jr. was on that. Well, yeah, you should just watch it. Watch that Penguin 6 video. And I already gave you the title a few minutes ago. So, so there was a red light flashing, which I'm not used to seeing with these helicopters. And let's see, so red light is 83. And it's my name, Catherine, but it's also Jonathan. So my name is awesome because it matches Jonathan. It matches the Donald. And Hoover Dam, prepared, boss man, which a lot of people that work with President Trump used to call him boss man. I don't think they do now. Eyes on, which is, you know, a military thing, eyes on. All night, and phase 1, red alert, and movies. So do you see a theme here, you guys? It's a theme. So that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So at the Naval Observatory, yeah, I was right, at 7:33, and 33 is like 33rd degree Mason, which is the ones that are the bad ones, not the lower down people. The taps was being played because the sun was going down. And taps is for also, you know, lights out and funerals. Isn't that funny? So he's right there. Taps is being played. All these comms are flying around. Likely Junior was on that helicopter. And like I said, taps is also for funerals. And that's right when the helicopter's starting to land. And it's funny, I looked up taps because I wanted to make sure you know, were there other occasions when taps is played, and I just don't know. So I looked it up, and during the Peninsular Campaign in 1862, a Union soldier was buried when they were too close to, you know, the other side in advanced position. They were in the woods, and the 3 volleys that they usually shoot over the person that was to be buried, you know, they couldn't do it. So the captain had taps sounded, made sense, you know, and so right then it showed you the unofficial lyrics for taps, and it sounds like a description of my eclipse that I'm always talking about. It'll look like an eclipse, and I only put the beginning of it down, and it's not, like I said, it's not an official lyric, but I guess a lot of people think that that's the lyrics for taps. Well, I didn't even know that existed. So day is done, gone the sun. From the hills, from the lake, from the skies, all is well. Safely rest, God is nigh. So like the day is done, gone the sun. Now I know, you know, obviously they're talking about that the sun is setting, but to me it all has double meanings, because everything has double meanings, even from day one of time, you know. Yeah, all is well. So even though it would look like there's something bad going on with the sun, all is well. Safely rest. God is nigh. You know, like, don't worry, don't be afraid. Okay, so the helicopter lands at the Vice President's home at the Naval Observatory, and okay, exactly at 8:23. Okay, 8:23 on Penguin's video. So if you don't think it's edited a certain way for comms, you're wrong, because Junior would be the one on the, you know, maybe JFK was on there too, but you know, they're going to the Vice President's residence. So 8:23, 23 is W, and Wanda Sabin has said, you know, well, other people have, yeah, he said he called as W. What am I saying? Yeah, he definitely said that. I was beginning to second guess myself there. Yeah, and 23 affects the world. So that's Junior. So, So he's the one on the helicopter, and it happens at 8:23, and that's right when the wheels touch down. So, and it looks like Junior gets off the helicopter, and he's got a blue beanie, like a light blue beanie, maybe Tiffany blue, and a mask on. So, you know, his hair is covered, and he's wearing a mask. It looks like it could have been him, but I mean, I didn't try to do like the nose comparisons like other people do on YouTube. I didn't try to do all that with screenshots, but feel free to do it. But I think it was him getting off, and then the fake Kamala was getting off with a general or a fake general, supposed to look like Millie, I think, but you could only see them from the back. And let's see. And at 10:22, a third fire truck goes by, you know, in the video. And I was wondering, does it mean he'll be back? Oh, and then, yeah. So Penguin says again, I'll be away, but I'll be back next week. So it could, you know, I don't think it means President Trump now that I'm rereading it. Because there's a 22 in there, I think they're talking about JFK. So I'll be gone, but I'll be back. Or they're referencing to, you know, way back, 1963. He was gone, then he's coming back. I mean, there's lots of ways you can look at things. So, anyway, that was that. I don't know how long this has been going on, but it's been a while. But you get the message, right? You get the message. So, this video he did was on the same day, and it was at 15:17. I mean, I should say it was 15 minutes, 17 seconds long. And the title was funny. It was Joe Biden motorcades for some munchies and mass on a cold Saturday. So he threw cold in there, which is D-Day in Armageddon, right? That's 34. And munchies and mass equals 163 again, you know? And so I already brought that up, but I'll tell you again. It's no more waiting, make America great again. Let's see. Oh, and John F. Kennedy is that 17th letter, anon, okay? Spelled out. So that matches. That matches 163. And I think I already told you about keeps his rifle in the car, but I got a couple more decodes on it. It's 220, Jesus Christ, joy. Okay, and that, well, President Kennedy, when asked about his son, Junior, John F. Kennedy Jr., he called him my joy, that John is my joy. So, Jesus Christ, joy. Let's see, I already told you before, when the time is right. And oh, another good one that I hadn't mentioned is Riders on the Storm and the Son of the Storm. And I already told you when the fat lady sings. That's worth saying it again. When, you know, the Ukrainian national anthem and everything. That was so good. That was just awesome, you guys. Point of no return. So that's where they were at, the point of no return. Let's see. The coming catastrophe, I said that. Yeah, so I got through all those. There's only a couple of new ones. Sorry. Okay. So, oh, and another 220. This is awesome. It also matches, you are not a penguin. So he's not a penguin. Isn't that funny? He's really somebody else. He's a white hat. And we were decoding Penguin 6. So that was funny. Oh, and it also matches President Trump saying, I guess we have a magic wand, meaning Junior. So when he says that, he's saying all these other things. And at 2:35, he says, Penguin says, I think a congressman died today. A congressman from Minnesota. Yeah. So let's see. Congressman is 128. Full steam ahead. Hydrogen bomb. Final warning. Batman and Robin. Oh no, not and. Batman, Robin. Just like that. And President Trump, sorry, I have something bothering my eye. Okay. President Trump has got that great little video you can find on YouTube where he says, I'm Batman. And yeah, he says, I am Batman, like that. I am Batman. I love seeing it that way. Let's see. Oh, also 128 for Congressman. Final Fantasy. Apparently, do not believe. That's for the white hat. False flappy things up on a flagpole. Minnesota is 110. And that equals loud and clear. Laughing hard. Just us. It's just us doing this stuff, man. Unbelievable, because it won't be believable. Let's see. He said again, blue sky kind of day. And that's 126. And that's 107. Well, yeah. 126 is Mr. Blue Sky. So that's why it's 107. They're both 126, Mr. Blue Sky. And that's a song, you know. That's a decodable song, too. Let's see. Oh, and then he showed us a way that the president can go into the White House secretly through a tunnel. And he was showing down kind of an alleyway, and he says it's the secret way into the White House. And he said it was a way to you go into the Treasury building, and then there was a tunnel to the White House. And he said, worst case scenario, in case the White House is completely surrounded, you want to make a bet, it looks like that. You want to make a bet, I'll bet you like, I don't know, $100. Don't take me up on it. I don't really bet. But yeah, worst case scenario, the White House is completely surrounded. They can sneak over into Treasury. So why do you think that got brought up? And then a fire truck goes by again. And you know this video is edited. It's not just like by chance that this is all happening, or even, you know, acting and directed. Yeah, the fire truck, well, yeah, it's probably directed. The fire truck goes by at that moment, but it's also edited. So it goes by, and he goes, there goes Tower 3. So he's bringing up a tower. Tower 3. Now he's not saying 1 or 2, but it said Tower 3 on it. And he says, it went by fast, right? So he said after that, you'll probably have to pause it. Like if you want to see Tower 3 on the fire truck, you'll have to pause it. In other words, he's kind of teaching people, yeah, pause these things if you want to see what's really going on. Because, you know, a lot of people just watch videos. They don't pause it and examine something and see, you know, the little minute details. But that's what people in our kind of situation do, you know, situations do. We pause it and analyze things and look at all the details and compare things to other things, you know, like other noses to other noses, things like that. So let's see. And he said at 5:46, he said there's a presidential seal on that fire truck. So at 46, he brings up presidential seal. And then at 6:40, he says, that's another 5 if you want to look at it that way. They're buying groceries. And to me, it's like stocking up, because we really should be stocked up, because it's going to look like chaos. It is going to look like chaos. It's going to look awful on the news or the bulletins or whatever daily alerts we get. It's, oh my goodness gracious. I think I'll even be upset. Because you know, it's just going to look like terrible. I'm hoping I'll just laugh, you know. That's what I want to do. I just want to laugh when I see it. So let's hope we can all be on that page when the time comes. Let's see. And then he said, okay, so he says they're buying groceries, and then he says, I think they're doing what testing. Oh yeah, that's what he said. I think they're doing, and then at 6:22, testing landing drills today. And at 6:45, they just finished doing practice drills at the Naval Observatory drills. And 6:46, hey guys, it's Saturday and something's going on. Let's see, 6:58, third black car, he said. And he's another man, he said. And he repeats that twice. Well, actually, he said no, twice and then another time. So third black car, sorry, third black car is 110. And it equals president, translate, Christ, loud and clear. Are you getting the message? Yeah, loud and clear. So 753, reverse 35, and OTR motorcade. And OTR equals 53, which is kind of the minute we just looked at, 753. And 53, I'm sorry, equals killed, deceive, ending, come back. Looks like he's killed, he deceives, looks like an ending, come back. And I think it's going to look like President Trump dies too. And I think one other person too. Like maybe Junior, you know. I'm sorry, but I don't know. My eye is itchy. Yeah. But don't be upset, they're coming back. 6:45. Let's see. Oh, I said that. Let's see, where am I? 8 minutes. Reports are he's going to the JW Marriott. Marriott is 147. That's message from God. You're getting the message, I think. It is happening. It is happening, like now. U.S. military shelter in place. Now, I think the whole shelter in place thing with the illness was a phrase that was brought about, you know, by the good guys, the white hats, on purpose, and that's what everybody started using, you know, even FEMA uses it, which, you know, is on the good guys' side at this point. Yeah, shelter in place is going to be used a lot in the future because all the stuff is going to look like it's hitting the fan. So everybody's going to be told shelter in place. Too late, can't get to a fallout shelter, you know, for an evacuation route or something. Too late. Shelter in place. There's a nuclear attack happening. Sorry. I'm weird. I have a sick sense of humor, I know. And then he said he could have walked. He literally could have walked, you know, from the White House to where he was going. And he could have walked as 160 because he said it twice, so I thought I would do that. And the time is now. And economic collapse, and let's see, and I can't even read my writing. It happens because I get on the edge and I start writing tiny. Let's see, so the time is now, and economic collapse won't be real, you know. The stock market's all manipulated right now anyway, so don't worry about it, and the reset's going to happen, so whatever. I'm trying to fix, you know how it is, everything's the opposite, and I still can't get used to it. Looking and, sorry, I keep fiddling with my sweater. Walked is 56, and it equals alert, attack, Beijing, USMC, Hindu, and President Modi in India is involved with all of this. So it might look like their attack too by China or something like that. Who knows? Emmy, image of La Palma, and I've got a whole video. I think it's part of a video, but that's in the title. La Palma was fake. and it was all just videos. And every time you saw videos coming out on that, they were all fake videos. I believe that 100%. And the White Hats can control the internet. So if other people were putting videos out that showed that nothing was happening, they would not let them be up there. It just wouldn't happen. So whenever people say, yeah, but I saw all these videos. Yeah, all kinds of things can be faked, obviously. I mean, look at what happened with President Kennedy. That was fake. And that's why they did it. I mean, they were trying to kill him, for one thing. And it was better for him to be taken out, you know, and look like he was gone, because that was just better for the time. And he would come back now and save us. So, you know, he knew the future. He knew what was going to happen. He's part of everything. So he's here now to figure everything out. Let's see. And at 8:35, Penguin 6 had lots of pairs of gloves, and people that watch him had sent in gloves to help the homeless, because he's always giving things to the homeless people, which is beautiful. I love that. And so gloves is, let's see, is 80. It equals Putin. It equals targeted weather, and it equals landslide. So let's see. Oh, it also equals do you, and then have faith, and the 17th letter, ANONS. Okay? So, do you have faith, you guys? Let's see. So he said we're able to donate about 20 gloves, and that was cool. 20. He didn't say pairs of gloves. He just said gloves. So he said their fingers are killing them. And with all these Sherlock codes and all these other things I've been getting, I think their fingers are killing them. I think some of the fingers are killing. I won't go into it anymore. So at 9:54, reverse 45, he said maybe the second, and then he says third one, dark windows, and he was talking about the dark windows in the motorcade. And let's see, so he said 2 and 3, and that's like the 23 for W again. And he said at 10:53, there's the sniper's closet. He was showing up above. And at 10:55, where they hang out when it gets cold. So right after, well, I should say that was right before he was talking about the fingers. Was it after? Yeah, it was right after he was talking about the fingers. He talked about gloves and fingers in the sniper's closet and hanging out. And then when it gets cold, and cold is D-Day. It's all comms, you guys. Grand staircase, he mentioned, which equals where I am, New Hampshire, so I like that. It's 139. And it equals announcement, intentions. It was all a dream, not happening. And then, let's see, 11:35, he shows very little segment, you know, because it's all edited, so he only showed a little segment. It was a line at the cupcake place, I don't remember the name, and a line, always, he said twice, a line for cupcakes. And cupcakes equals 79, it equals laughing. And let's see, at 12:23 we see a Biden, or the Biden, and likely it's our junior at that moment, who's Wanda Sabin. And yeah, because it was at 12:23, and that's the W again, Wanda Sabin. So it probably was junior, and he's also Gene Wilder, and gosh, I can't think, I won't go into it now, but at least he's junior and Gene Wilder. And Gene Wilder, I just figured out recently. So, okay. And so Gene Wilder could definitely be him when he fell up the stairs. You remember that Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? When Gene Wilder walked down with the carpet, I think it might have been a red carpet, and he was coming out from the factory out to the gate to meet all the people that won the gold, that had the golden ticket. And he did a somersault, and he had a cane, and he looked like he was walking with a lot of difficulty, and then he did a somersault and popped back up. So it could have been him falling up the stairs on Air Force One. And let's see. So, yeah. And then he said, a little hard to see him in the motorcade. And at 14:35, he said, saw him with my naked eye. So he didn't see it through a lens. And naked eye is 70. And it equals track back, women, hidden God. And that's when Junior is Jen Psaki, in my opinion, because she says, does she say track back? I think it's exactly that phrase, track back. Instead of, we'll get back to that, we'll track back to that. And women and hidden God. So that, to me, is him. And I think you're probably going, well, how can that be? Because he can't be in all these places at once. But Jen Psaki news conferences can easily be recorded. You know, it says live. It's not necessarily live, right? And we're in a movie, so I wouldn't be surprised if all those, press conferences were recorded. And, all the well-known reporters that were like cabal kind of people aren't there anymore. None of them are there, and I wonder why. Not a single one that used to always be there. So now we have just people we don't know, and they could be anybody. They're probably actors, and so that's why it would be easy to record it. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my big Penguin 6 decode. Probably lost most of you guys at like 12 minutes. That's normal, I guess. But I ramble. So I think I got my point across. The Penguin 6 is giving comms. What do you think? So anyway, make comments, share, whatever. If you guys support me, I appreciate it. And have a great day. And God bless. Bye, you guys. See you soon.